Hello folks, welcome back to World Music! Yay! Run-cha-chan! This is our last week of world music learning for this year. This week we're going to be talking about the wonderful, mystical, magical, and full of life music of the Caribbean, or the Caribbean, however you want to pronounce it. As you'll see behind me here, I have all these lovely boxes. I am moving. I have too many books to pack. Just so you're aware, that's what's in the background. A bunch of boxes, and empty bookshelves. Boxes, empty bookshelves. Always the funnest time. All right, this week we're going to be talking about Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. Okay, like I said, this is the last week of our online learning in world music. Next week, there'll be no new assignments, no new work. Just something really fun and quite interesting to do as a class to wrap up the year. As always, folks, you can find this presentation in the form of slides on our Google Classroom if you wish to dive in a little bit deeper. All right, let's begin. So here we have our map. Okay, our first site is going to be Haiti. Okay, our second site is going to be Jamaica. Now, just so you're aware, okay, we have the Bahamas up here. We have Greater Antilles Islands, the Lesser Antilles Islands over here. Okay, and this Hispaniola is what this island is called, and we have East and West Hispaniola. Okay, our third and fourth site, is going to be Trinidad and Tobago. Our fifth site is going to be the Bahamas. Our sixth site is going to be Cuba, not the Bermuda Triangle, but that's around here. As our last and final site is going to be the Dominican Republic. All right, let's begin. So, background information. We have our tropical islands in this area. We have the Antilles Islands. Like I said, there's the Greater and the Lesser Antilles. Okay, that includes the Caribbean, but it does not include the Bahamas. They are their own separate island chain. There's lots of diversity in terms of languages, especially because all of these islands were colonized at one point in time. The slave trade was really big around these islands, and many of these islands are actually inhabited by former slave families. There's lots of cross-cultural creations, and we've got this kind of cultural creation called the mummer or the mummer. It is a type of street theater actor, okay, that it derives in English, and it's performed all throughout the Antilles Islands right around Christmas time. So our first nation is Haiti. So Haiti is in, like I said, the western region of Hispaniola. Okay, Hispaniola is that tiny island where you have Haiti on the western side and the Dominican Republic on the eastern side. Okay, it's as you can tell from the name of the island itself, Hispaniola. It is a very Spanish forward name, where we have both Spanish and French colonization happening on this island. It did become the first independent Caribbean nation in 1804, just over 200 years ago. It is an island that is riddled with economic hardships. Poverty is very prevalent throughout Haiti. And this is because of the such frequent rate of natural disasters that occur here. Earthquakes, floods, and hurricanes. And the economics, the money that is being made in this country, is very low because the cost of sugarcane is not really enough to support a lot of people here. So our first song, if you pause the video here, head to our Google Classroom. It is the VODOU ritual. Okay, pause the song here and then we'll talk about it. All right, welcome back. So the first impressions of this song is that it is rhythmically dense, and it comes from West African roots because remember, these islands were based on the slave trade, and many African people were taken from West Africa. They would hold up on the islands in the Caribbean before then being shipped, unfortunately, throughout North America, especially the United States. We get instruments like the rada drums. Okay, remember that polyrhythmic percussion idea. Many, many different rhythms happening at the same time. Just like on TikTok, when you have this, right? Okay. We got the call and response rhythm, or the call and response form. We've got also, in the picture here, these are called vaccins. They are bamboo, made of bamboo. They are trumpets. There's a little hole that is placed in the bottom of the bamboo shoot. Okay. And the players buzz into it. Okay. And each of them has a different sized hole to give us different notes, different pitches. Okay. The rara is a procession of singers and players who go from one sacred spot, like a cemetery, to another, especially during the time of Carnival. So, Vodou and other African-derived religions like the Loa or the Orisha, or the Loa deities come from these West African religions. Okay, but there's also this kind of lining up, this marriage between Roman Catholic beliefs and the Vodou beliefs. There's very similar stories between the two faiths. Okay, we've got this spirit possession. So in this video, or in this picture, excuse me, okay, there are people who claim to be possessed by specific animals, and they behave like those animals, or they're simply acting out the personality of the gods, as if they're being, possessed by the spirit of the gods. Okay? The function of music in society is deep, right? Everything that the people do in the Caribbean, especially in Haiti, revolves around music. The work songs, the life songs, songs for children, songs at school, songs for walking from here and there. Okay? And because of this Vodou religion, we get the god Shango. Okay, this is the name of the god of thunder and lightning in West Africa. In West Africa, the god of thunder and lightning was called Yoruba, but in Haiti, they have changed the name to Shango, okay, which is also the name for West African-derived religion. That is also found in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, let's move to Jamaica, home of reggae. So, Jamaica was a former British colony, okay, very high in tourism. We get these very low class, low income areas of Jamaica called trench towns, and the main one is called Trench Town, excuse me. This is where, it's a trench town, it's a region of Kingston, which is Jamaica's capital, where Bob Marley grew up, and the way he lived throughout his life, he portrayed his upbringing in this trench town, the slum of Kingston, in his music. And Bob Marley, okay, died very young. He was also known as Tough Gong. Okay, he's the most famous reggae musician that we know of, and he recorded many songs and toured around the world. So, pause the video here, have a listen to the second song about reggae. Alright, so reggae is a popular music style characterized by rhythmic emphasis on the offbeat and by politically and socially conscious lyrics. It's very laid back, okay? Like I said, the lyrics have a moral message in them based on what is happening in the world today, or at the time the songs were written. The upbeat, okay, or the offbeat is emphasized, right? So if we have a downbeat, the up part of that downbeat is emphasized. So it goes da 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 ba 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 ba. Hey manemo era deyo. Right, it's that offbeat, not right on the beat, that is emphasized. Lots of bass, okay, very thin guitar in there, not very heavy at all. Okay, and like I said, the lyrics give off this lesson, this moral lesson in the lyrics themselves that butt heads with what's happening in the society at the time. Okay, so some cultural characteristics. To the left here, we have Haile Selassie. Okay, he's an Ethiopian emperor who is considered by Jamaican Rastafarians to be their incarnation, the black incarnation of Jesus Christ. And Rastafarianism, or the Rastafari religion or belief system, okay, derives from, again, West Africa. Rasta represents references God, so Jah is God, right? So feeling the Jah in the music, feeling God in the music. We've got dreadlocks, which are characteristics of the Rastafarian movement. Unfortunately, illicit drugs, and this idea of Babylonians, that the Babylonians spread throughout the world and that their music, okay, influenced both Jamaicans and non-Jamaicans alike. Okay, and this type of music, reggae music, is found in dub music or dancehall music. It's music that emphasizes the bass, right? Very thin guitar at the top, and rhythm tracks for DJs to simply talk over, right? House music is what we would consider it. All right, let's move to Trinidad and Tobago. So, Trinidad and Tobago. These, again, are former British colonies. There are many African people, East Indian people, as well as Chinese people who emigrated to Trinidad and Tobago that make up the majority of the population of these two islands. Okay, they are really big and rich in oil, and there's this very big tar pit, this tar lake, in Trinidad and Tobago, and that's what we see here in this photo, is the lake. And Carnival is really big. The period of Carnival, where people are celebrating, is really big in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is the Carnival is a festival that precedes Lent, okay, when Port of Spain, which is the capital of Trinidad and Tobago, comes alive with near non-stop music and dancing, okay? This is what is known as Mardi Gras in New Orleans in the southern United States. It's a very similar event. And you see this also all throughout South America as well, especially in Brazil. Carnival is really big there too. So the first piece of music that we're going to listen to from Trinidad and Tobago, specifically from Trinidad, is the CALYPSO music. Okay, pause the video here and then we'll talk about it. All right, CALYPSO music. CALYPSO is a very popular music from Trinidad that is characterized by improvised or soloing lyrics on top of a broad spectrum idea for the melody, and lots of funny stuff in the lyrics themselves. Lots of humor in those lyrics. The first impressions that I get from this song, okay, it's a very small dance band with these talking vocalists. There's a lot of kind of talk type singing. We also get the calypso artists, okay, this wily social commentary that is kind of repeated in these steel drums. Okay, steel drums, okay, are big drums like you see here that are typically made from oil barrels, because remember, Trinidad and Tobago, big and rich in oil deposits. Okay, they are made from oil barrels that are cut. Then the steel from the top, the lids of the oil barrels, is hammered and bent inward, and depending on how far they're hammered in, it will create different pitches. Okay, and that's what you hear, that metal twangy sound in the song itself, is these steel drums. There's also conga drums present, and conga drums, we just purchased some conga drums for the school. Yes! These are tall, barrel-shaped, very long, single-headed drums that are often used in Latin American and Caribbean music. They're different from Congo drums, or different from bongo drums, excuse me. Bongo drums are small, quite short, and they're played with the tops of the hands. Conga drums are very, they have a wide head on them, and they're very long, almost half as tall as a person. So, some cultural considerations of calypso music. There's different types of calypso music. There's classical calypso, which is more traditional to the Trinidad and Tobago scene. But then there's also more contemporary calypso music that is influenced by Cuba, that is influenced by South America as well. There's competitions for calypso dancing, okay, and we call the type of competitions are called soca, soul calypso music, where the music moves the soul and you move and dance to the music. Our fourth song, pause the video here, but it is all about the steel band, the bands that are composed of the steel drum players. All right, welcome back. So the first impressions that we get here is that this is the stereotypical island music. Okay, and as you can see, we have different sizes of steel drums, all made from oil barrels, and the size gives you that different type of pitches and how the steel is hammered inwards to create that bowl shape gives us different pitches. We have the pan style of music, okay, or instrument, excuse me. These are the steel pans, okay, which is it's a steel drum, same thing. We have maracas that you shake, okay. When we have steel bands that get together like this, we call it the engine room because it sounds like an engine room of a boat, right? We got a lot of moving parts, lots of steel moving, or steel sounds that create this. And we get a lot of harmony between members of the steel band playing certain pitches at the right time to create these wonderful, wonderful pitches of harmony. And you actually get that too because when you're playing with a steel drum, you have two mallets and you can create harmony just like you can on a marimba or a xylophone or a vibraphone with these mallets. So some cultural considerations of the steel band. Okay, the history of the pan group, okay, comes from that ideal of carnival, right? These outdoor and indoor celebrations. We also get different types of instruments. Okay, the tambu bambu, which is these large, long pieces of bamboo. Okay, they are very similar to drums. Okay, and they use either sugarcane or bamboo tubes that are beaten, right, with sticks on the outside, right? And depending on if you're hitting it from up top or lower down, it's going to give you a different pitch. Okay, Bahamas. Let's go to the Bahamas. Looks beautiful there. It's kind of rainy out today, but the Bahamas, always blue water and sometimes blue sky if it's not raining or hurricaning. So, this was the first island group that Christopher Columbus discovered in 1492. Okay, very loyal to the British Empire. And these are the islands that were colonized by the British. Okay, Christopher Columbus. And many Americans fled, okay, to the Bahamas after the American Revolution, where they drove out all of the British soldiers out of the United States in 1783. Bahamas, as we know, very big and popular for cruise ships, tourism, snorkeling, scuba diving, because of the spectacular coral reefs that surround the islands. Our fifth song is the rhyming spiritual song. So pause the video here, and then we'll chat about it. All right, welcome back. So some first impressions. We get this very quaint Christian chorus. It sounds very hymnly, okay, very choral in nature, very almost religious in some connotations, in some ways. We've got different parts of these choral groups. We've got the basser, who is the lowest vocalist. We've got the falsetto, who sings kind of like this in the higher ranges. And then we've got the rhymer, okay, the lead tenor singer, who rhyme all the words. Okay, we've got this overlapping call and response. It's very hollow harmonies that are usually played with with either 2 or 3 notes. And we got this lots of freer rhythm. We don't have a lot of set structure in the tempo, the beat, or the rhythm. It's quite free. But the bass player, the stand-up bass player, typically will play that kind of some form of beat so that the singer knows when to come in. So, the Bahamas. Okay, we've got this idea of fledgling fishermen, the sponge fishing industry. Okay, fishermen trying to, take anything from the sea and try and sell it, especially to tourists. The industry has fluctuated quite a bit because of natural disasters. Christianity is really big in the Bahamas. Okay, and this idea of earth, sky, water, and wind. Every person on the island of Bahamas who is culturally native to those islands utilizes all 4 of those elements to the fullest potential of their lives. Right? The earth, the water, the fire, the sky, and the wind. There's a great respect for those 4 things. All right, now we come to Cuba, our second last country. Beautiful country, which fell under communist rule under Fidel Castro, especially during the Cold War. It was exceptionally communist. And even to this day, as a United States citizen, it is very difficult to travel there, as there is this embargo between the 2 countries. Canadians are free to travel there, but Canadians are not allowed to set up any businesses without going through quite the rigorous process, because it is still very, very communist in the country of Cuba. Okay, we've got Havana, which is the capital of Cuba. Habana or Havana, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Okay, Fidel Castro ruled Cuba from 1926 all the way, born in 1926, ruled until 2016. His brother, okay, Raul, has taken over for Fidel. There's lots of these Latin rhythms, and we get this belief system called Santeria, okay, which derives from West Africa, where everything has life. The wind, the trees, the water, the clay, the pottery, everything has life to it and is respected as it has life. Pause the video here. Okay, we've got our next song, our second last song is Afro-Cuban salsa music. Pause it here and then we'll talk about it. All right, welcome back. The first impressions is that it's very Latinized, but it takes a lot of its roots from jazz. That salsa style comes from jazz, especially its root rhythms are based in the swing form of jazz. Okay, we get a lot of wind instruments, we get a lot of singing going on. We also get a lot of percussion instruments, unique percussion instruments to South America and to the Caribbean, like the clave. The clave, okay, is two pieces of wood, which is usually resonating woods that are beaten together to give this kind of ringing sound. We do have a couple sets of claves at the school, if you wish to take a look at them on your own time. Okay, the style of Afro-Cuban salsa music that comes directly from Cuba, influenced by West Africa, is very vocal in that it tells a story through the lyrics, okay? And a lot of time there's this call and response idea in salsa where somebody will do something or dance a certain way, and then somebody else will respond by saying or singing something else and dancing in a certain way. And here are just some really awesome instruments found in salsa music. We've got bongo drums, the smaller drums. We have the larger conga drums. Okay, we have the cabasa here. We have the claves, and we have the domra drum. All right. So, cultural considerations. Is it Latin, so from South America, or is it Caribbean? It's a combination of both. The culture of Cuba there's many people who live in Cuba, and especially when you look at Che Guevara and Fidel Castro, who are Cuban, but grew up, were educated, and were heavily influenced by the culture and the goings-on in South America. Again, we talk about that animistic belief system, the Santeria, okay? Where there's this thing called the Horus, which is a rhythmic pattern that is associated with the Orisha deity in the Santeria religious tradition. We also get Latin dance crazes that take its rhythmic pattern from the Horus. We also get the guaracha, which is a Latin American ballroom dance, as you see here, that's very, very flamboyant, very moving, very passionate dance style called the guaracha that comes from Cuba and is performed and danced throughout South America as well as in the United States and Canada as well. Now we come to our very last country, the Dominican Republic, which, remember, is on the east side of Hispaniola, the island of Hispaniola. Okay, and there's this emphasis on European roots, right? Dominican Republic was really colonized by the Spanish and less by the French. Okay, Haiti, the country of Haiti, was colonized more by the French than the Spanish. Okay, and the country of Dominican Republic was ruled under a terrible dictator by the name of Rafael Leonidas Trujillo Molina. Rafael Trujillo, or we simply call him Trujillo Molina. Okay, not a very nice guy at all. He put many policies in place that promoted Hispanic culture, okay, from Spain. And he instilled instilled a fear of anything Haitian or anything French into the people of Dominican Republic. And even to this day, there are some people in the Dominican Republic who truly dislike the people of Haiti, simply based on this kind of ingrained lessons from Trujillo Molina. Pause the video here, have a listen to our last song, the merengue style from the Dominican Republic. Alright, welcome back. So merengue, it's a Latin American Caribbean dance style and music genre. We get these very these thuddy heavy drums from a, what the heck is a boulon box? It's a button box drum, which you see here, because when you look at this drum full on, it actually looks like a button that is found on your shirt. Okay. Excuse me. We also get the button box, is called a tambora. Okay, it's a very small drum with these very thick leather faces to give that low, thuddy drum sound. And we also get the gira, or the guira. I think it's actually pronounced guira. Okay, it's a guira. It kind of looks like a cheese grater. And it did derive from the traditional cheese graters, or what they would have traditionally been used for. It's not to grate cheese, but to grate both coconut, and a great way for washing your clothes, because on the one side of the guira typically is quite soft, and the barbs that come out of the steel are angled downwards to be able to scrub and wash clothing. And the other side, the barbs are angled a different way to be able to slice and shred coconut. Okay, the guira, you actually scrape this. Okay, you scrape it to create the sound. Okay, and sometimes a guira can be made out of metal. It can also be made out of wood and look like a fish. Okay, and can be scraped to give you that wooden sound. It has a bunch of grooves in it, and it can be scraped and sounds something like that. Okay. Cultural considerations of the Dominican Republic music. Okay, we get differences between folk dancing, the folk music of merengue style, and the ballroom dance style of merengue, the more fanciful, the more exciting style of merengue. And remember, this style of dance, the merengue style of dance, is a combination of the cultures from Spain, from Europe, okay, as well as West Africa, because remember, all of the islands in the Caribbean, the Antilles Islands, including the Bahamas, were all these stopping points for the slave boats before heading to the United States. All right, folks, that's everything for today. Thank you so much. This is our last, like I said, our last video for this year. I hope you had a wonderful experience learning about the different musical cultures and music and instruments of the world. There are plenty more countries and cultures to talk about, but we can only talk about so many until next year. And so, thank you again. Don't forget to answer this last discussion question. Next week, we're going to do something fun. There will be no formal lessons or learning, just something fun to do to wrap up the year and to end on somewhat of a bang. All right. As always, folks, if you have any questions, feel free to answer me. Feel free to ask me. And don't forget to answer this week's discussion question. Have a wonderful week ahead, and bye for now.